Hi, this is Krista Anderson, host of Emotion in the Wild podcast, and I have a very special guest this evening. Someone who has become my friend, Jessica Javens, is our guest this evening, and I would imagine this evening's conversation, while she has so much information to offer, it will also sound like two friends kind of chatting back and forth. But I'm going to be picking your brain. Jessica, welcome. Thank you for showing up this evening for me.
Thank you so much for having me, Krista. Oh my gosh, this is such a privilege. Part of me being here is me trying to be aligned with people like you. So thank you so much for having me. It is a privilege and thank you.
I'm honored. Thank you so much. I mean, I want to thank you for the inspiration and that alignment because I've been talking about resonance off and on through all the podcasts I've been recording of late. And I'm was ready to rise up from the frequency I was at. And we talked about that, right? But when I hadn't thought about it until you interviewed me for the first time last October, I think it was end of September in 2025. And then from then on, it stirred something inside of me. And when you meet your tribe, when you meet your people, and it's the right frequency, you can't help but level up. And so, it's like I have done this before, sort of, kind of, but not really focused. And after working with you, and you're so good at what you do, even I just get the benefit as a friend, as a colleague that we talk about. But I can't imagine how poignant is your work when you are one-on-one working with a client. I mean, that alignment, that resonance, I'm just saying I'm here because you inspired me. So tell me a little bit about your job, your title, because you've got a niche job.
Well, Krista, I'm here also because of you, right? We both found something very beautiful and unique. And I'm so grateful for the universe, for our creator to creating this space for us. This is amazing. With your question is yes, I am a neuro-metabolic reconstructionist. And this is a title that I created because there is so much depth to it. It has to do not only with what I studied in all my certifications, but also my experience. And that combination is unique, just like you are. You have such a unique um, experience, deliverance, love, guidance. Is just, you can't find that anywhere. And I think that that's one of the reasons why we are aligned, and that's why we can help certain people who are looking for that. And I am in awe, but I'm also happy to be able to do that.
It feels like a very humbling role, doesn't it? I mean, I'm saying that across the board with what I do as a clinician, as my mother's caregiver. Um, that's 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 the word I'm looking for. The responsibilities are unforgivingly incessant, but it's also sacred in the mundane. Sometimes I handle it really, really well, and sometimes I just endure it. But that's life, right? Life's. Um,
Yeah.
and it's learning how to do that with grace and then paying that
Oh,
forward to other people, because that's really what people are looking for. Because as we heal, we've talked about this before too, it's not like the chaos goes away. It just has less
how to
access
do
to
it with
us.
grace. That's key. How to do it with grace is key. I didn't know that for most of my life. It was a struggle. I thought that what I was living and what I had and what I knew, which was a lot, was all there was in that sense. So what you just said there, that touches my heart.
Oh, wonderful. I'm glad it aligned. Because tell us a little bit about how you got here. Because in the people that I notice that I'm aligned with, that I'm interviewing, or vice versa, um, you've got your own healing story. It's not like you climbed the ladder perfectly and ta-da, here I am. This is my reward. It's like you went, oh no, let me reevaluate all of my choices. Right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I wasn't sure what I wanted, and that took me in too many directions, which sometimes it's a good thing because you learn with them. However, that delayed where I am today. What I planned my entire life to reach, which is a wonderful wife, a wonderful mother, and a wonderful executive, was not quite what I planned. Although I prepared for it, it was not quite as I planned. So as I navigated that, I found out things in the middle that were life changing. Basically, that's what it was. So I would love to tell you about my transition from being in corporate into being an entrepreneur and why that happened.
Great. I would love to hear that. Yes, because it's because I would imagine once you realize, oh, this isn't for me, there's got to be some sense. Panic might be too strong of a word, but there has to be some fear of, well, what am I going to do now? Because I can't do this anymore. I'm not doing this anymore. Right? Is there truth in that?
Totally. Fear? Come on. That's totally part of the game. Not only that, but the fact that you're always relying on the how. And this is where people get stuck. This is where I got stuck. And this is what I help people to get unstuck from is the why.
Mhm.
I felt like I have to know, I'm sorry, not the why, the how. I felt like I needed to know how everything before I acted on it. But that's not how it happens. So, what happened to me, I'm not going to go into much, but what happened to me is I was stuck into a corporate position for almost 18 years. And I knew I had so much more inside of me. I felt like I was in a box for so long, even when I reached an executive position. However, that was not my purpose. That was not my identity. That was not me. I was not being fulfilled. I had so much more to do and to give. And it came to a breaking point. And that breaking point sometimes becomes desperation. And that's when some people finally chooses to change without having to know all the hows, if that makes sense.
Yes. Yes. There's an element of what I teach and what I try to exemplify, walk my talk with Emozen is if you are confident enough in your own emotional competence,
Mhm.
nothing can throw you. And I think that is the concept you're speaking to, right? You're confident enough, no matter what life throws your way, that your emotional competence is going to override and win the day.
Yes. And that competence, that confidence is not pride.
No, no, yeah,
And that's where sometimes people get confused. And I got confused too, because I don't want to be prideful. My background, which you understand, was to be humble, to be serving, to
yeah,
be giving, right?
yeah.
Self sacrificing. So that was against all of that. So, how do I align this life, this vision with that purpose? And that was a
Because
challenge for me. And
because
I
you have to
see it
say
in
no
many other people.
sometimes. I didn't mean to cut you off. I got excited. I'm sorry.
I know.
Because there's that you have to say no. You have to go, oh no, no, no. My tank is empty. You have to start to read your body in ways that you didn't have to before, right? And
The
so,
body, the
yes,
body is your friend, not your enemy.
yes. I go even bigger. It's my temple, right? And I consider my nervous system my spiritual antenna. And it's a men and women thing. Men are intuitive too. I'm not trying to, there's no gender bias here. Men are intuitive too. But women are designed to read the room differently. Again, not that men can't, but I'm speaking from my
It's just
experience as
different.
a female. Yeah, it's just different. Um, and we also have to read the room for safety. And that's a little bit of a different topic. I'm not trying to go there. I'm just saying all of the women that I'm meeting at this stage in my life, which I'm proudly owning my crone phase. Like eventually I'll be like the swamp witch I was designed to be. And no one, and it's like, I will only show my friendly face to people that I want to come around. I'm joking, but you get to a point where
Oh
you're like,
yeah.
oh, I only have energy for this much stuff. On the good days, we can do whatever, but um, it's women that are going, hey, that doesn't work for me. And the systems have let us down so much that we've literally had to find our own way. Every
Mm.
single woman that I've talked to in this podcast series, that's our story. And I think it's a really powerful one. Can you speak to that?
Oh my gosh, totally. So I did business administration because I wasn't sure what I wanted. And that's the whole problem. Sometimes we don't know what we want. We just know we want something better. But that generic is
That's a good
generic.
safety net for you, you know?
Yeah. And sometimes being that generic is just going to make you just stay where you're at, which is the stuck moment, right?
Right.
So, um, I have some leadership naturalness to myself. Part of my personality since I was a kid. If you talk to my mom, she has so many stories. I would push the kids out of the swing. It's my swing. It's my turn. I would just take it. But however, when I got to corporate world, it was in a way, I don't want to say this in a bad way, but there's still a little bit of this. It's a man's world. Why?
Yes. Yes.
Because we're still in transition, right? When the corporate world was created, about 100 years, maybe a little bit more than that, it was designed for the man to work while somebody else is taking care of the home and the children. So the balance was okay. But then when women start to work, that balance didn't change. That structure stayed the same. So how are you going to put the woman inside that same structure that the man did and she still has to take care of the house and the kids? So that's my reality, and that's not just my reality. It's the reality of most women today, and more and
Yes.
more. So without that support, what happens? And then there's other factors into it. I'm going to wait to go into those.
Yeah, well, and I'm going to add something in here strictly. It goes along with your neurometabolic reconstructionist because that's biological, it's physiological, right? And I've
Mhm.
mentioned this a couple of times. I don't think I've talked to you about it in this conversation, but it's relevant to bring it back in. In the entire world, there are 5 species that go through menopause: whales, orcas, um, narwhals, elephants, and human beings. Of those 5 that go through menopause, like we're all designed, it's for a matriarchal reason, but only 4 of those species are matriarchal. Humans are the ones that are not matriarchal. And
Wow.
women, biology had women stop being able to reproduce. And from a biological perspective, if you can't reproduce, what's the point, right? It's the point in these us and the other 4 species that go through menopause because women are designed to start being leaders in the community, to take care of the young, that their adult children's young, like their grandchildren. That if you don't ever have kids, that's fine. It's still your time to lead. It's a time to step into crone wisdom, and even crone has been like downplayed so much, but it's an honor, it's a crown. um, and I think that's pretty phenomenal biological factual information.
That is
That
incredible.
Yes.
Krista, I've never heard this before. This is the first time I'm hearing this, but it's amazing that you think that that's the honor and the role that we get.
Yeah,
It gives me goosebumps. It's beautiful.
it's an honor, and so many women, and I understand why we haven't been educated to understand the rite of passage that is menopause, right? Because it's hard, it's uncomfortable. But being a woman is uncomfortable. I'm sure being a man is uncomfortable too. I'm not dismissing that. I'm a woman talking to a woman about women's issues right now. It's hard, right? And so when you go through menopause, we've been trained to say, oh, it's time for you to disappear. But what I'm finding is I'm becoming more and more and more of that. And I even find my young female clients in their 30s, and my own daughter is one of them, thanking me for not hiding my age and being who I am, because it gives them hope, you know? And that's enough right there for me. That's powerful information. I don't, isn't that just, I don't know. Young
It
girls are
is
like, thank
amazing.
you.
It is
Yeah.
amazing. And it's funny. I see myself going back to my teenager years where I wanted to be close to girls my age, and I did. But at the same time, I sometimes hanged out with my mom and her friends,
Yes.
and those conversations were so much more interesting. They have value, they have depth, they have wisdom, they have
Yes.
life. You know what I'm
Yes.
saying? It is beautiful. So if you're in a position that you can help and inspire younger ones, it's amazing. One of the questions that I was asked, Krista, when I became part of the Influential Women organization is, what would you say to women who are entering the workplace right now in their 20s?
Oh,
I was like, huh, that's a tough question, right? But my answer was, and I know this is not going to be easy, but this is the ideal answer, is get to know yourself better.
oh,
That's it.
I felt the warmth. So when I heard those words, I exhaled more deeply and my heart got warm. That was powerful. Yeah.
Because that benefits you and everybody around you.
And
It can be so
so
impactful.
my pause, I mean, that really landed well with me. And my mind is exploring all of the possible reactions that I can think might exist in a young woman's mind about that. Like, get to know myself better. What's that even mean? I know myself better than most people know. I'm just thinking about how I was when I was in my 20s. It's like, I know myself better than anybody else knows themselves. I don't know. You know that there's a little bit of, I don't know, youthful, unintentional arrogance, just by lack of
Totally.
experience. Yeah. I don't mean that in a nasty way. It just,
No, but that we all go through that. And
yes,
that's the whole point why I said it, is
yes,
for you to see that I don't know you. I'm not your family member or anybody here to counsel you, but this is my counsel overall. So that's going to hopefully make them think like, okay, so I can go deeper.
yeah. Oh, isn't that you can always go deeper, always. And that's what blows me away, because the answer is in the nuance. Speaking of going deeper and being in the nuance, you did take that step. You did step through the fear. How is your life better now that you've made choices that align with you as opposed to the corporate world?
It's funny, Krista, because you and I know this. We want to help people to get to their best version ASAP, but it
Right.
doesn't work that way. It requires a lot of layers like an onion. So, um, and I know that. So we have to be patient and be there when they're ready. But for me, it did take decades.
Mhm.
Not because I didn't have that before, I did, but I didn't get it. I knew it rationally, but I didn't know how to put it in practical steps. I didn't know how to put that in my nervous system and into my heart where I could actually embody it, right? And I knew, I'm like, this makes sense, but how do I do it? And again, the how, right? So I went on, and I felt that I was ready. Like, for instance, when I got married to my second husband, oh, I was ready, right? I had been a business owner. I had been in corporate world. I had been married before. I was ready. And I thought that I was a very deep spiritual person. And I had every tool that I needed. And all of those things did help. Believe me, it did. But for the challenges that were coming, I encountered things that I didn't know about myself. I
Mhm.
encountered roadblocks that held me back.
Right.
and sometimes always wanting me to give up. It became very scary at times. And I am happy that the root of all of that was to win somehow, to stay here, to be there. And I was able to rise up. And of course, I didn't do it alone. I had mentors and coaches, but I also had, you know,
You had
the
to do the work.
universe, God, yes, that helped me. Because
Yeah,
as me, just being me is not enough. And we were not, I don't think that we were created to be just us. This
correct.
planet is full of life. We were
Yes.
made to be around life. But I can tell you that the once I found it, it was absolutely transformational and I can't stop talking about it.
That's see, and it's igniting even in me. And by igniting, I just mean it lifts me up. They're very powerful feelings, and that's a resonance. And I think people oftentimes aren't embodied enough in their body to understand what resonance means. And it's that space in your heart where you connect, and silence almost has a texture to it. Silence has a flavor to it. You just feel it, and it's like you can get truth bumps. And they're not goosebumps because it's not about being cold. It's like the head to toe resonance, and it goes back to your nervous system. Um, is the spiritual antenna that we need to pay attention to. And a lot of what you're talking about too, and this is what you were saying, we didn't name it, so I'm just going to name it out there, is like developing healthy thought habits. Like, do not talk down to yourself because your
Mm.
body's listening to that. And we're all guilty of it. I said something to myself earlier today. I tripped on something and I was like, klutz. And I was like, stop it. You just tripped. And, so it was me being able to catch myself and apologize to myself. There's some research
Mm.
that shows that even if you just look at yourself in the mirror, you don't have to do that. People are uncomfortable with that, but that's a tool to explore if you don't want to look at yourself in the mirror, right? But speaking to yourself, like saying, hey, you got this, it's okay. Your brain hears that as someone else talking to you and supporting you. So, yeah. What do you think about that? Or
Oh
what's
my
your
gosh. I can talk about this with you, Krista, for the next month. So, just a couple of things. I remember the time where I finally realized that instead of my realization that my body was against me, right? Because I went through a lot, Krista. I was a corporate leader. I had 4 children, and they barely could help each other. Why? Because they were all 4 of them were born in 4.5 years, back to back.
wow,
Okay.
hard? Yeah.
Um, Pandemic, I could not work from home. Okay. Neither did their father. So for the first time, I had kids in elementary and middle at home alone.
Wow.
We can have a whole podcast about that.
Yes, we could. Yes, we could. Wow.
But what's interesting is because of all of that pressure that I had to make sure I'm taking care of it all, I hurt myself without realizing it because I didn't know. I thought that this is what I was supposed to do.
Sure.
So I gained 80 pounds. I had abdominal pain. I had intestinal problems, rectum problems, joint problems, hair loss, brain fog, all of that. And all of a sudden, this superhero is starting to disintegrate, right?
Right.
Because I was overdoing it. I wasn't being with my friends because I had to be with my children. And I completely self-sacrificed, which is it's a beautiful thing when you're not hurting yourself. You see,
Yes.
that's the balance that it took me so long to learn.
Discernment. Yes.
Yes.
Yes. You've got to be able to discern if you're operating. And see, that's the thing about women. We're so used to operating on E, even our reserve tank, that we just keep going. And I had a conversation with a client I've worked with for a while. last week, and she's like, I'm proud of myself because I keep going even when I'm too tired. I said, wait. I know you're not new. What'd you just say? And we started talking about it. She laughed. She goes, I said, the goal is, yes, you keep going, but at least have a half a tank. Don't keep going when the tank is empty. And so it's, continuing to be a positive reminder and be funny about it. I mean, what's the point of doing any of this work if it's not fun? What is the point? There's none. So
I don't think we were designed for that.
I don't either.
So that's where the misconception comes in, and it hurts us because we're doing all of that in the wrong way. We're
Yes.
supposed to serve and to love, but it's not supposed to hurt that much. And
Right.
that's where the body, which I was telling you, was supposed to be it did protect me.
Yes, it
It
did.
created cortisol, it built up fats, it stored food,
Broke
all
you
of that,
down.
right?
So you pay attention to it. Yeah. Yeah.
But then again, that's your body speaking to you, and most
Yes.
people are not listening to it. They go
Bingo.
to the doctor, and the doctor prescribes a pill for the pain, a hormone to balance your whatever, estrogen, or a pill for your hair loss. But the root cause is not that.
No.
It is because you're not able to handle all of that, and you don't know how to regulate yourself. You don't know how to balance and have discernment, which is what you just said.
Bingo. And with balance, and we're winding down. We have to do this again. On your show, my show, get a whole group audience. I don't care, whatever. But as we're winding down here, to know it's so important to know when to say no, because the more you can discern and take care of yourself, the more energy you have to take care of the people you love. It's not less. It's just the opposite. It's counterintuitive for a lot of people I know, but the more you rest, that's why I call it regulated rebellion, because you're supposed to rest, but culture wants you to rush, rush, rush. So, with that being said, I want to again thank you, Jessica. You're just a dear. I love talking with you. And thank you to our listeners and viewers this evening for joining us for this great conversation. And that will do it for this episode with Jessica Javens on Emotion in the Wild podcast. Thank you.